And God blessed them and said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. Genesis 1:28. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here,
first off, welcome.
All right, guys, let's get right into it. So I'm sorry, last week I wasn't able to record, but back on to consistency, because I said I was going to do a part 2 on that change in consistency. And so we're going to get back on to consistency. Hey, I can't talk, because for one, I wasn't consistent last week in just making another video. And so consistency is something I'm telling y'all, out, Rambo, get out, that I have struggled with for a while. And I feel like God is trying to birth that within me, consistency. And so we on it. And of course, we got a word. So you just gonna drink your water while I try to make a video. Okay. I guess he was thirsty. Hey, come to the water and drink, right? When you're thirsty, go to the water and drink some. Okay, sorry about that. Dog was a little bit thirsty, so I had to handle that. Now, let's get back to talking about consistency, right? So, let's go to the word. Because of anything, the word of God is everything, right? And so, let's go to the word. I'm not going to the word. We're going to some words in red. So that means Jesus said these words. So anyways, let's go to Luke chapter 8. And this is we see an example of consistency from the persistent widow woman. So this is a familiar passage that many of you probably have heard, but if you haven't, it's from Luke chapter 8, 1-8, and it's about the persistent widow woman. So let's just see what it says. Luke chapter 8. And he spake a parable unto them to this end, that men ought always to pray and not to faint, saying, There was in a city a judge, which feared not God, neither regarded man. And there was a widow in that city, and she came unto him, saying, Avenge me of my adversary. And he would not for a while, but afterward he said within himself, Though I fear not God, nor regard man, yet because this widow troubleth me, I will avenge her, lest by her continual coming she weary me. And the Lord said, Hear what the unjust judge saith. And shall not God avenge his own elect, which cry day and night unto him, though he bear long with them? I tell you that he will avenge them speedily. Nevertheless, when the Son of Man cometh, shall he find faith on the earth? Okay, so that was Luke chapter 18. I was reading from KJV version, but I wanted to read it from the amplified version because it was so good too. And we are in a generation where we are a culture where we want it right now, right? We're that generation, if the preacher preaches 5 minutes longer, you're looking at your watch like it's time to go. If we're having to wait in line longer for our food, if we're having to wait for a doctor, we're just kind of an impatient generation, right? And if we having to wait behind somebody while we're driving, we get frustrated. Someone going slow, and we get irritated, right? We exercise for 1 week, and then we want 12-week results after exercising for 1 week. And that's just not how consistency works. If you want 12 weeks result, you have to be consistent for 12 weeks, right? Consistency, I looked up some definitions again. It's unchanging, right? It's constant. It's dependable. Those are some synonyms. And persistent, from the persistent widow woman, is continuing firmly in something, right? So this lady, she continually went to this judge. She, even though he turned her down, we get rejected once and get our feelings hurt. We get, people talk about us once and we shut up, we silence. But that's not what this persistent widow woman did. She kept going to that judge, even though he didn't fear God, he didn't fear man. But she said, avenge me of my adversaries, right? We let up. We like, okay, God doesn't answer when we think he should. So we stop praying about it. We stop focusing on it, right? We might turn to another means. We might go to another spirit to get some answers if God isn't God and as good as we would like him to be, right? But where can our Savior find this faith on the earth? Now, listen, I want to read it in the Amplified version as well. Let me see where my phone is. Okay, so the Amplified, it puts it like this. Now, Jesus was telling the disciples a parable to make the point that at all times they ought to pray and not give up and lose heart, saying, in a certain city there was a judge who did not fear God and had no respect of man. There was a desperate widow woman in that city, and she kept coming to him and saying, give me justice and legal protection from my adversary. For a time he would not, but later he said to himself, even though I do not fear God nor respect man, yet because this widow continues to bother me, I will give her justice and legal protection. Otherwise, by continually coming, she will be an intolerable annoyance, and she will wear me out. Then the Lord said, listen to what the unjust judge says, and will not our just God defend and avenge his elect or his chosen ones who cry out to him day and night? Will he delay in providing justice on their behalf? I tell you that he will defend and avenge them quickly. However, when the Son of Man comes, will he find this kind of persistent faith on the earth? Will he find this kind of persistent faith? I've heard, a lot of pastors or people say, men ought always to pray, but just not really going in on, okay, what does that look like? How do we ought always to pray? Because, we ought doing something always almost seems like unattainable. And so, what does that look like when you do something always? And so I think, more people are making it practical, just talking to God throughout your day, including him, acknowledging him in all of our ways and letting him direct our path. Because he said, if you acknowledge me, I will direct you. But a lot of times we don't acknowledge him until we need him. And that's kind of a one-sided relationship. If you were the friend who only called when you needed something, I don't know, I would be, feeling some type of way. I know they want something when that number's calling, because they don't just call just to talk to me. They don't just include me with their day, but that's a whole nother thing. So anyways, let me go back to my notes. I think, okay, I had wrote this down earlier. Okay. I think a good place to start is by being consistent with you. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean by what you say you're going to do for yourself, you do. You bank on yourself, right? You show up for you. What this is going to do is build your character, build your integrity within, and build your dependability. Because if you trust you, it's just going to exude from your character, all of that, right? A lot of times we can't even trust ourselves because half the promises or half of the things we set out to do, we don't do because we just don't do it, right? Because we're not consistent with ourselves. We say we're going to, go work out. 3 times a week. Then we don't do it. And then we either beat ourselves up and just forget about it all completely, or we just let it go to the wayside, right? We just don't worry about it. So my challenge to all of us, myself included, if we say we're going to do something, try doing it for 30 days, right? Try doing it for 30 days, whatever you said you were going to do, And if you mess up, you start that 30 over. Just kind of doing all that kind of thing. Just trying to be consistent with something, right? Because when you think about it, we are consistent. We are just consistent with the wrong. Like, you either consistently are late, consistently a person that's late. You consistently snooze, you consistently mishandle your resources. You do some things consistently, even if they're not good. You might not say, well, I'm just not a consistent person. You are, but it might be with some of the wrong things, right? Like, and then a consistent person, I think it's not only speaking of what you do, it's who you are. Are you the same person on social media and off of social media? Are you one way with one group of people? Like, you one way in church, one way outside of church, one way with this group of friends, one way with another group of friends? That's not a consistent person. And that's not somebody who, is authentic, because they're always switching it up. Like, you're always switching it up. People don't know what you're going to get with you. So you want to be the same no matter where you are, no matter, what environment you're in, who you're around. Right? I had wrote, a consistent person doesn't allow the changes of life to determine if they show up or not. Their word is their bond. They do because they say they would. Which makes me think of this phrase that I heard Myron Golden said, be, do, have principle. And he said, if you want more, we must become more. And then we must do more, and then you will have more. But this is a biblical concept that he gets from Genesis chapter 1, when God told man to be fruitful, do multiply, and have dominion. Be, do, and have. And so, my challenge to us and, my community here is let's be better so we can do better, so we can have better. Let's show up for us. Let's honor our commitments that we make, whether we feel like it or not. That's being consistency, right? When you can bank on your word. When you think about it, our word says a lot about us, because the life that we have is a result of the words, right? Because God created everything from his word. In the beginning was the word, right? And the word was with God, and the word was God. And everything was made by him and for him. And the word became flesh. So when our word becomes flesh, we can dwell among the people who we give it to. Right? When our word becomes consistent with our actions, it's going to build up our character. So I just wanted to get on and do another little part 2 on consistency and just encouraging you all really quick. I may drop another video this week since I didn't get to do one last week, and I have to do my 25 before the year is up, and I think that'll be highly doable. Let me know if this bless you. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, do all that stuff that you do on this platform, right? Okay. And I'm about to go take a bath and get ready for bed, but I didn't want to delay any longer since I didn't get to make a video last week. I wanted to hop on today. So I hope you have a great night, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.